Hey guys, what's up? Alec back with the daily stock market, and look at that, a fairly green day. Pinterest up 13%. Apple was up 7% on Friday. We have a big earnings week coming up this week, so make sure you stay tuned because we're going to go over all of the different stocks that are reporting earnings this week. We'll also go over stocks like Amazon and maybe even Meta because they're down significant amounts. You can see in the pre-market they were down 13%, ended up bouncing back around 8%, now at $103 per share. If we scroll down, we can see my position, about $1,300, 12 shares, and a $700 call option that's up 26%. So make sure you subscribe with post notifications on and stay to the end of the video so you don't miss out on any of these earnings updates. So of course on Monday, like always, it's a pretty boring day, but as soon as we get to Tuesday before the open, we have Sofi, which is going to be a huge stock to be watching this week because they start earnings off basically. Same with Uber and BP, Marathon Oil, 66, Pfizer. Okay, a lot of oils are going to be reporting on Tuesday before the open. So that's going to be an interesting thing to be watching. Oil is definitely one to have your eye focused on this week. After the close on Tuesday, we have AMD. And if you remember, Intel just reported earnings. Everyone thought they were going to miss because the CPU demand has been pretty slow since the pandemic. However, Intel released an earnings beat, so that could be some good news coming for AMD. We also have Airbnb reporting on Tuesday after the close, along with MicroStrategies. So Tuesday is going to be a huge day. Wednesday before the open, we have CVS. After the close on Wednesday, we have Roku, which is going to be one to be watching for sure. Qualcomm, Marathon Oil, Robinhood, and Etsy are going to be notable ones to be watching as well. Thursday before the open, Royal Caribbean is going to be reporting. Datadog, Peloton, Nikola, Penn, PENN. Those are all very interesting ones. And Penn can be a good indicator for Friday before the open for DraftKings, by the way. Okay, but going back to Thursday after the close, we have PayPal. So yes, Thursday is going to be a huge day for earnings as well because we have Coinbase, Block, Warner Brothers, Twilio, Starbucks, Carvana, Cloudflare, all reporting on Thursday after the close. And then even going to Friday before the open, which is typically a very boring day, we have two exciting companies reporting, Fubo TV and DraftKings. So needless to say, we have a huge earnings week coming up this week that you don't want to be missing out on. A lot of potential for option trades, calls, and puts. Make sure you message me on Instagram if you want to join my close friends list because that's where I post all my personal buys and sells too. But we'll jump into that more at the end of the video. Okay, so if we jump into an analyst research article on Sofi Technologies, we see that Sofi is expected to beat earnings estimate. What to know ahead of the earnings release. Okay, Sofi is expected to deliver a year-over-year decline in its earnings on higher revenues when it reports results for the quarter end September 2022. This widely known consensus outlook gives a good sense of the company's earnings picture, but how the actual results compare to these estimates is a powerful factor that could impact near-term stock price. The earnings report, which is expected to release on November 1st, 2022, might help the stock move higher if these key numbers are better than expected. On the other hand, if they miss, the stock may move lower. Okay, so revenues are expected to be $391 million, up 41% from a year ago. Okay, estimate revenue trends. The consensus EPS estimates for the quarter has remained unchanged over the last 30 days. This is essentially a reflection on how the covering analysts have collectively reassessed their initial estimates over this period. However, if we look at insider activity at Sofi Technology, we can see that in related news, major shareholder group Corp SoftBank sold 6 million shares of Sofi Technologies stock in a transaction that occurred on Monday, August 8th. Okay, so that's some good information. The stock was sold at an average price of $8.17 for a total transaction of $54 million following the sale. The insider now directly owns 83 million shares in the company, valued at $679 million. So that's not too concerning, actually, because they only sold around 10% of their total position on August 8th. But they could see something coming up, as an insider that they don't like, and that could be a red flag for the earnings coming up that they're about to release. The transaction was disclosed in a filings with the SEC, which is available on the SEC's website, by the way, if you want to track more of these. 13% of the stock is currently owned by corporate insiders. Institutional investors weigh on SoFi Technologies. Hedge funds have recently made changes to their position in the company. U.S. Bank Corp DE boosted its holdings in SoFi Technology by almost 200% in the first quarter. U.S. Bank Corp DE now owns 3,000 shares of the company's stock worth around $28,000, which is not too much after acquiring an additional 2,000 shares last quarter. Advisor Asset Management INC bought a new stake in SoFi Technology in the first quarter worth 36,000, which again, these aren't too big of stakes, so I wouldn't be too concerned about that. Analysts set new price targets. A number of equity analysts have commented on the company. Bank of America raised SoFi Technology from a neutral rating to a buy rating and lifted the price target from $8 to $9 per share in research notes on Wednesday, September 14th. Okay, this was released. So yes, overall, SoFi is a risky one to be holding into earnings. We can see that they recently just shot up around 12% in the span of 1 week, okay, which is a pretty bullish thing. And then they went on to sell off around 4%, and they're now at $5 per share. So if you want to see exactly what I'm doing, make sure you message me on Instagram if I'm buying puts, if I'm buying call options, or if I'm just leaving SoFi alone and focusing on something else that is much more likely to be more profitable. Go ahead and reach out to me on Instagram. I have a few more spots available for that close friends list. And if you want to see the massive results students have been having, click on success number 6 or success number 5 on the highlight section of my Instagram. There's hundreds and hundreds of positive testimonials. And if you go all the way and click through most of them, you can see the most recent ones from last week. A lot of people are making thousands and thousands of dollars just on a few trades. Here we see up 82%. Here we see up 400%. $2,500 made, and the list goes on and on. So spend some time, read through a few of those on your own time as well. Another one up 520%, $4,600 made on call options. And we also have to talk about AMD, which is up 5.8% just on Friday. And if we look at the last month, we can see that they did drop big, around 15 to 17%, because they did release some information around that time that said that they weren't going to be beating their earnings. Okay, so that's another reason why a lot of people thought that Intel stock wasn't going to beat their earnings, but Intel actually ended up beating their earnings. So can the same thing be said for AMD? Is there a good chance that they are going to beat their earnings? They're up 6% in just the past week, so they're starting to rally. But let's dive in a little bit deeper to see what's going on. By the way, also, we can see that the AMD has been following this channel, support and resistance, for about the last year. So it's an interesting one to be watching. It could be following this. However, we can also note that with earnings coming up, the technicals aren't going to be too important. But just off the technicals alone, it looks like AMD could definitely bounce up a little bit further to that resistance point. Okay, so here we see an article on Yahoo Finance by Zacks, a research team. What awaits Advanced Micro Devices, AMD, in Q3 earnings? AMD is set to release earnings on November 1st. The company expects third quarter revenues to be $5.6 billion, which indicates a year-over-year growth of 29%. AMD previously expected revenues to increase 55% at the midpoint of guidance. Okay, so they did pull back on that a little bit, which made the stock go down. The consensus estimate for revenues is pegged around $5.58 billion, suggesting around 29% growth on revenue also from a year ago. The consensus estimate for third quarter earnings is pegged at 67 cents per share, unchanged over the last 30 days. The figure indicates a decline of 8.2% on their EPS on a year-over-year basis. So if we looked at some factors at play, we can see AMD's preliminary third quarter results reflect lower than expected client segment revenues due to reduced processor shipments resulting from weaker than expected PC market and significant inventory corrections. The fall in client segment revenues expected to have affected AMD's revenue guidance by the third quarter. Also rising geopolitical tensions between the United States and China, the global supply chain challenges that have hurt the semiconductor industry, the ongoing Russian-Ukraine war, which has caused natural gas prices to surge across Europe, rising inflation globally, and the Fed's interest rates hikes are expected to have affected AMD's top-line growth in the third quarter. Also, AMD, which currently carries a strong sell rating, number 5, is facing stiff competition from peers like NVIDIA and Intel, INTC, which we were just talking about earlier in this segment of the video, across other verticals where the company is operating. NVIDIA is giving AMD tough competition in the high-performance computing market. Intel is still leading the name in consumer PC market and is the major competitor for AMD in this segment. Intel is gradually reducing its dependence on the PC-centric business by transitioning to data-centric business such as AI and autonomous driving, which is something very interesting to consider for Intel investors. However, AMD is expected to have earned significant revenues from its data center, gaming center, and embedded business segments as it invests heavily into diversifying its product portfolio to cater to higher trends and higher growth markets. Okay. AMD's third quarter earnings expected to have gained from the improved performance of its Ryzen processor. AMD has also built strategic partnerships with companies like Dell Technology and original equipment manufacturer partners Acer and Lenovo, which is expected to have helped it launch new products, thus increasing revenue streams in the third quarter. In late July, AMD collaborated with Dell to launch the most powerful 17-inch AMD Advantage laptop. The company's top line is expected to have benefited also from a recent acquisition. And if you want to read these key Q3 developments, go ahead and do that. Go ahead and pause it and read through this last part of the article. So it looks like AMD could be a good candidate for a beat on earnings. However, I would probably want to see them drop below $60 before taking a call out on something like AMD, for example. Things going on with AMD, there's a lot of things saying that it might beat. There's a lot of things saying that it might miss. If you want to see what I'm doing, remember, message me on Instagram to get in that close friends list. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you guys for all the love and support. We have over 600 posts on Instagram now and over 500 posts on YouTube. So thank you guys for all the love and support. If you want to join the family, click on success number 6, read some of those testimonials, message me on Instagram. I'll shoot you over an application so that way I can help you out the best way possible and understand your situation. And then I'll shoot you over my website after that if you qualify. And if you go through the website and you like everything that you see and if it fits inside your budget, then I'll be more than happy to help you start investing in the stock market and developing wealth from the stock market also. Okay, guys, share this video with a friend if you think that they will find it helpful. Make sure you take 2 seconds, and if you got this far in the video, subscribe with post notifications on and drop a like on this video. It's very, very much appreciated. And as long as you keep liking these videos, I'll keep making them for you guys. Thank you, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Remember, don't time the market, buy the market. Peace.